I'm going to show you how to make a multicolored pearl necklace that would be great for your bridesmaids. And the key to getting the different colors depends on the amount of time you keep each pearl in the dye bath. So we're going to start by making our dye bath. Here on a hot plate, which you could also use on your stove top, I have a pot that I use especially for dyeing because I don't want to mix my dye with my food pots. And I have 2 cups of water in there. And to the 2 cups of water, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of RIT dye in the powder form, and I've chosen the color mauve. So I'm going to add this into the water. The water is been heating, so it's nice and hot, which means that the powder will dissolve pretty fast. So I'm just going to mix it up a little bit. You can see that there's steam coming off, so it's pretty hot, but it's not boiling and bubbling over. You can almost feel the grit on the bottom to tell if the dye has dissolved completely. I think it's pretty good. So we're using a glass pearl bead. You can see here they almost look real, but they're not. But they're a very good quality, and because they're glass, they almost feel like they are real pearls, and they have a great luster. So what we're going to do to dye each pearl, so we'll take about 3 to 4 pearls for each bath, and I'm using this tea strainer, another kitchen supply that I've dedicated to dyeing. Obvious reasons I don't want to have dyed tea, but so I have my strainer with my pearls in it, and what I'm going to do is put it into the dye bath, but I'm going to be timing every single time I put it in. So this time I'm going to do a 2-second pearl. So what I'm going to do is place it in the water and move it around really slowly, keeping the motion for 2 seconds. So it's going to be fast. So 1, 2. Shake off the extra dye and dip it in a bath of water. And then I'm going to take these and just place them on a clean paper towel. So that's my 2-second pearls. Now I'm going to add 4 more pearls. And the reason I move it around while it's in the dye bath is so that if there are any little grains of dye that didn't dissolve, they can stain it and leave specks, so you don't want that. So in order to do that, in order to not get that, you want to move it around and not hit it against the bottom of your pot. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you start to lose track of time, it's nice to have a stopwatch nearby. And so same thing, place them here. So the shade is getting a little darker every time I add time to the dye. So now I'm going to add 4 more, and I'm going to do a 10-second dye bath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Rinse it off. So you're going to keep dipping your pearls, and as you can see here, the more time, the darker the pearl. So you'll have a variation in color. Now I'm going to show you how to make it into a necklace. So I've taken a length of wire and I've strung my pearls in an order so that I have the darkest pearls on the ends and the lightest pearls in the center. And now what I'm going to do is make the closure, and so that my pearls don't fall off the other end, I'm just going to tape my other end down. Just to secure it to your tabletop is fine. And what we're going to do for that is use a crimping bead. And a crimping bead is just a little cylinder bead, and you use special pliers to crimp it to keep it in place. So I'm going to string that on one end. So you can see I put my crimping bead on, and I have a length of ribbon. I'm using a satin, silky, nice pink ribbon, and I've folded the length in half. So this loop here, I'm going to put the wire into the loop like so, and then carefully, while holding the crimping bead in my hand, put the end of the wire back through the crimping bead and pull it taut so that I have the wire in a loop with the ribbon through it. Before I crimp it, I'm going to go to the other side and do the same thing. Add a crimping bead to this side, a length of ribbon, fold it in half, looped around the ribbon and back through the crimping bead, pulling it taut. But to make sure that you have no extra cord showing on this side, you're going to pull your crimping bead as close as you can to that last pearl so that there's no extra length of wire. So once you have it all set, you can actually crimp your crimping beads. And to do that, we're taking these crimping pliers, and they have two little notches in them. One crimps the bead and one closes the bead. So basically, you're going to insert that crimping bead into the plier into step 1, which is going to crimp the bead, squeeze it so that it's crimped, and then you're going to turn your bead sideways and squeeze the crimps together to close it off so that it's tight around the wire. Do that to one side, and then you can do it to the other side as well. Crimp the crimping bead, move it over, use the other part of the plier to push them together. So now they're nice and secure on there. And then you can take your wire cutters and just trim off any of that extra wire. So the last step is tying a knot to cover your crimp bead. You take your ribbon ends and tie a knot to cover your crimp bead right at the last pearl so that it looks seamless. And then again on the opposite side, pulling the ribbon through, tying a nice knot to cover the crimp bead and right over your last pearl. And this will give it a nice finished look, ready for your wedding.